Hey, what's up guys? Tougie here, back again with another video, and today we're talking about the Max Pacioretty trade. Now, for those of you who watched my live reactions to this on Twitch, of course the news broke at 1 in the morning. We were live playing some NHL 19 at the time, and this news broke. I ranted and raved and dissected the trade for a good hour. I was just going to export that to YouTube. Unfortunately, due to copyrighted music and such, it's not allowing me to publish it. It's not even like I'm a case of it being demonetized. It's just, no, fuck you, you can't upload it. So here we are, touching up upon the same points, and I want to start off by saying this. I know. Okay? I know. Bruins fan, talking about a Habs trade, I get it. Some people are just gonna, they're gonna see this, the title's gonna be like Habs trade, and they're just gonna leave. They're just gonna be like, nope, I know his opinion already. And you might. You might. Here's the thing. I want to talk about this trade from the Vegas Golden Knights perspective first, because there's not a whole hell of a lot to say here. As far as the trade goes, you already know the details. Pacioretty for Thomas Tatar, Nick Suzuki, and a second-round pick in 2019 that previously belonged to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Easy for me to say. For the Vegas Golden Knights, a lot of people are just like, well, if you look at it from the perspective of what they gave up for Tatar, it's an overpayment in total for Pacioretty, because here's all the picks they gave up for Tatar, and now they're giving up another pick here and a good prospect, and overpayment for Pacioretty. No. I'm sorry. I mean, sure, you can look at trades like that. No. At the end of the day, the Vegas Golden Knights have done one hell of a job of keeping this team together. You look at who they lost in the offseason, guys like James Neal, guys like David Perron. You look at who they've brought back or brought into the organization with Paul Stastny and now Max Pacioretty. They are just as good, if not better, than they were last year, at least on paper. We'll see, of course, whether or not guys like Marchessault and William Karlsson can deliver to that level yet again. This is a phenomenal deal for them. Is it an overpayment if you look at all the picks involved and what the Tatar trade was terrible? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was an overspend. Now, I'm not the type of guy to just be like, I'm normally not the type of guy to be like, okay, the team that got the best player back in the deal wins the trade in that moment. But kind of. Because I'm sorry, Max Pacioretty is worth more than what Vegas gave up to get him. And they gave up a decent amount. But Max Pacioretty is an elite goal scorer at the NHL level. One of the most consistent players in the league, really over the past decade, close to it. He is a phenomenal player. And I know I'm saying this about the former captain of the Montreal Canadiens, but it is true. The problem with this trade comes from the Montreal camp, and that is that this is yet again another example of Marc Bergevin being a completely incompetent general manager. That's right. I said it. Sue me. But it's true. The track record stands for itself. It speaks for itself. This is yet another instance of him cutting out his own knees from underneath him, as he just completely screws himself over. He sabotages himself. He's done it before. He's done it again here. Whether it be letting it known, I want to trade PK Subban. Okay, well, you're not going to get as much back now. Good. Same for Galchenyuk. Same for Max Pacioretty. It's fairly ridiculous. It's absurd. It's mind-boggling to see what's going on in that organization and to just wonder how there hasn't been change yet. You want to talk about the circus known as the Ottawa Sens? This is the real circus. Like, that's the Ottawa Senators, and Sens fans are going to be like, oh, you're calling us second rate? We beat the Bruins in the playoffs a few years ago. It's all well and good. But Ottawa, history of the Montreal Canadiens, traveling circus, the P.T. Barnum Bailey, the big circus. You get it? Montreal is a shit show. It really is. For the Vegas Golden Knights, again, they get the best player in the deal. You give up Thomas Tatar. Did you give up too much to get him at the deadline? Sure, whatever. You made it to the Cup final. You didn't win. It was worth it then. And even now, you flip him to get a great player. Nick Suzuki, could argue, top 5 prospect on Vegas. Yes, top 3. arguably, still would at the very least have him behind Cody Glass and Eric Bromstrom. Second round pick, Magic Beans, who the hell knows. For Montreal, Nick Suzuki helps. Thomas Tatar, I have faith that he could still be the 20 to 30 goal scorer. 40, 50 point guy. Maybe 60. He's really good, but who knows? Again, the problem with Montreal is, it's so tough because I'm trying to recant just so much from last night, and you'll be able to see that in the live reaction. The problem with Montreal is this is a case of them rebuilding. The problem is you shouldn't have had to have been rebuilding at this point, and that was my main reaction to this trade, aside from the fact that it's like, oh wow, it finally happened. That's my main reaction to this trade. This is another example. And now that Garth Snow is not a GM in the league, this is another example of Marc Bergevin being the worst general manager in the league. Make all the jokes about Peter Chiarelli you want. I would have Marc Bergevin, below Chiarelli on any list of worst GM. By far. 2014, Montreal makes it to the Eastern Conference Final. They lose to the Rangers. Chris Kreider, Carey Price, the whole deal. 2 years ago, they won the division title. And now you look at that roster. If you're a Habs fan, be happy that they made this trade and that they were able to get as much back for Pacioretty as they did, because again, Bergevin sabotaged the guy's value by letting everybody know it was the worst kept secret in hockey that he wanted Pacioretty gone for whatever reason. Be happy that you were able to get as much back as you did, because Nick Suzuki should be a solid prospect. I don't know if I would rate Montreal's farm system top 5, top 10, probably. Don't know if I'd rate it top 5, but Nick Suzuki is a very strong addition to that. The problem I have, if I'm a Habs fan, and I have this problem now, you look at the team, you look at what was, you look at what could have been, what should have been. I'm not happy that my team's kind of looking to rebuild and be like, okay, we're good in 3 to 5 years again. No. Because you look at what this team should be right now. You look at this team from 2 years ago, from 4 years ago. This team should be right up there with Tampa, with Toronto, with Boston, with Pittsburgh, with Washington as the beasts of the East. You didn't mention this team. You get the point. There is no reason that Montreal should have been taking a step back. None. They should still be right up there. You look at what that roster was, whether it be the Subban trade, which again, you hindered by Bergevin sabotaged his value by letting everybody know we want to trade him. Oh, well, Plekanec and Pacioretty and these people, they didn't like PK. If I'm the general manager of that hockey team, to hell with what you think. I don't care if you love PK, if you hate PK. PK can help us win hockey games. Do you want to win a Stanley Cup? Good. Shut your mouth, play hockey. The end. But no. Instead, you trade PK Subban. Similar thing happens, mismanagement of Alex Galchenyuk. I like Max Domi. You could have gotten more back for Alex Galchenyuk, or better yet, actually play him in a way that would have led to a little bit of success. Just a little bit. The Andrew Shaw trade, the Carl Alzner signing, not bringing back Radulov and Markov. Example after example after example of just this team having no direction whatsoever. And if I'm a Habs fan, I'm pissed. Because, again, it shouldn't be about, oh, well, in a few years we're going to be good. It should be outrage. Because you should be good now. You should have been good last year. You should be good this upcoming season, the season after that. Instead, what are you left with? Hope for the future, with a 31-year-old, now suddenly injury-prone goaltender in Carey Price, whose massive contract is kicking in. You have, again, boat anchor contracts like Carl Alzner. I'm sorry. Like, when I see this trade, the only thing I can think of is that if I'm a Habs fan, I'm furious. For me as a fan, I would rather have my team go for it and miss than just to be like, oh, well, we're not good enough. We don't want to try and make the moves that could actually fully turn us into a winner. I would rather have the aftermath of the 2013 Bruins, which in fairness was made worse by a dumb decision to trade Tyler Seguin, but still, they could have overcome that. Seguin deal was just holy shit. But I would rather have that fallout, that aftermath of a failed cup run, than what Montreal did. And just wave the white flag, and then compound that by awful deals, awful trades. Some people might say Montreal wouldn't have been able to compete with the Tampas of the world, with the Torontos of the world. I disagree. Because if you think of that team, hell, I didn't even mention the Sergachev trade. When you look at that team and you think to yourself, well, if we can get a goaltender who can play 30 games a season, alleviate the pressure on Carey Price. You go out, get some help you need maybe on the back end. You cannot convince me under any circumstances that that team, with the proper care, couldn't have been successful. I view it similar to the Washington Capitals situation, where they did the opposite. They failed and failed and failed, and instead of being like, no, we're not going to make it, they had faith in their core. They didn't trade Nicholas Backstrom. They didn't trade this prospect and this prospect. Philip Forsberg. Okay, well, that's the one exception. You get the point. I'm not a Habs fan by any stretch of the imagination. But I can't help but view this trade as just, again, the continued cycle of Marc Bergevin wasting an era of the Habs that could have been great. And trust me, I got used to watching the Habs kick the shit out of the Bruins. A lot. Frequently. Consistently. You could see that core in Montreal. They could have done something. They could have. And poor management wasted that opportunity. And this is just yet another sign of it. Is there anybody else on that team as it stands that ends up going? Probably not. I'm sure you could say, well, maybe this guy gets traded, maybe this guy gets traded, maybe Claude Julien ends up going. Doesn't matter. As long as Marc Bergevin's there, I don't know. But when I see this trade, when I see this headline at 1 a.m, my thoughts drift to what could have been for the Habs, as opposed to, well, in a few years, they're going to be good. That shouldn't have been the case. They should be good right now. They should be competing right now. I'd much rather rely on 31-year-old Carey Price than 34, 35-year-old Carey Price. Maybe I'm wrong there. I would have much rather kept PK and told people, grow the hell up. I'm paying you to win a goddamn cup. Do your job. I don't care if you don't like this guy. That's not how the real world works. I'm sorry. Then at that point, you don't trade PK Subban. Maybe you trade somebody else. Maybe you send Thomas Mechanics and his turtlenecks packing. There were ways to make it work. Winning solves a lot of personal issues. And instead, you fed into the drama and you fucking screwed up your team. And now we have the Montreal Canadiens in their current form. 3 to 5 years, they're going to be good. Time will tell. For Habs fans, you better hope so. You better hope that the Ryan Palings of the world pan out. You better hope that you get a reliable backup out of the guys, of course, whether it be a Caden Primo, whoever. You better hope McNiven. You better hope something works out there. Because otherwise, you're going to be looking back on the past 5 years or so. Not even then. The past 3 years. And that's going to be one of the biggest what-ifs in hockey. And as a Bruins fan, I know all about what-ifs. Thornton trade, Sagan trade, 3 picks in a row, not taking Barzal, Kyle Connor. I know quite a bit about that. But at the very least, my incompetent GM at the time still said, let's let it ride, go for the cup, and fell short, as opposed to Bergevin doing what he did and setting your team back at least 5 years, if not more. I don't know. That's my initial reaction on this trade. Like I said, probably left some thoughts behind, of course. A lot of trying to recant original thoughts that came up. Links in the description, though, to that rant. It was fun. It was fun. But my initial reaction to it, you'll be able to see and hear more thoughts there. What do you think of the Pacioretty deal? again, it's a solid deal for both teams, but in the grand scheme of things, Montreal could have done better, should have done better by one, not trading Pacioretty at all and not completely botching the way the team was set up in the first place. Secondly, the second option, not letting everybody know that you wanted to trade him, you might have been able to get a little bit more out of it. So all things considered, with the way Bergevin shortchanged his own team, yeah, he got a pretty good return. But is that something to celebrate? I'm not entirely sure. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate the support as always. Looking forward to seeing what you have to say down in the comments below. And for now, goodbye. Boy, I don't know. I feel like the reaction to this is just going to be, it's going to be great. Biased Bruins fan.